Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olechem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham va'anachnu nevarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam. Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Min hametzar karatia anani ve'merchavya. Min hametzar karatia anani ve'merchavya. Odcha ki ani tani v'tehi מרדכי כי עניתני ותהי לי לישועה. המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה מן המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How beautiful to see all of your faces. Okay. So, I am going to ask Will if when it is time to begin the service. So, Will, if you could send me a chat, that'd be great. Great. Okay. Well, we are so excited to see everyone in our Mishkan. And Jenna, will you start us off with Ozi?
Let's do it. Ozi v'zimratia v'yehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimratia
Good morning, everyone. What a joy it is to see all of your faces. For those of us who have not joined in our Mishkan before, a special welcome. The Mishkan was our portable sanctuary that our people took with us through the desert, and our Mishkan service, we pitch wherever we are, which in days of old used to involve the lobby of our community house or the pavilion, but these days includes our living rooms and bedrooms. And today our tent is stretching even further because we do not have a 9:30 B'nai Mitzvah service this morning, and so we get to share, open our tent wide to our live stream and Facebook Live friends. So welcome to everyone. I don't know about you, but I'm still working on my coffee, and so still, stretching a little bit of the kinks out, and just we want to give thanks for the fact that our bodies are working well enough today to at least get us into the chair that we're sitting in right now. So we continue with a setting of the prayer for giving thanks for these bodies sustaining us to this moment. And this setting is by Dan Nichols.
I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Whoa, whoa, Baruch atah Adonai, Rofecho basar umafli lasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofecho basar umafli lasot. Join me. Whoa, I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you.
Thank you. We continue to the part of our service. It's one of my favorites, our traditional giving thanks for Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles that we experience every day. So we will begin together with the words of Ma Gadlu, how great are your works, God. And then we will invite folks to share those everyday miracles that you may have experienced in recent days that are bringing a little bit more light. And now for our miracles. Last weekend, I went to the New York Botanic Garden, and it was an explosion of fall. And I loved watching all of the birds and the squirrels very busy about their business of getting ready for the change of season. And so my miracle is just being able to experience nature, even living in a city like New York. So let's see. Who else would love to share? Sorry, let's do Paula Hunker. Paula Hunker.
So one of the things I think we've all talked about is the miracle of technology in keeping us together when we're so apart. And I have one of my sisters that lives in Israel, and a sister in Chicago, and a brother in DC, and we never were able to even arrange a conference call, you know. And now we actually talk to each other every morning at 6 a.m. because of all the time differences, at twice a week. And this week, it was really funny because both my brother in DC and my sister in Israel had to leave the video while my other sister and I were on. And it was like we were in their house. You know, so my sister in Israel had her granddaughters and children, and they were wandering in it. It literally felt like we were in their house, you know, watching these things unfold right before Shabbat in Israel. So yay, technology.
Yay, technology. The fact that we are all here having this conversation is proof of that. Okay, I saw other hands. Let's see, who do I see? I see Arden.
About like a week ago, I got and started wearing probably the best sneakers I've ever gotten. And they're really helping me, really helping my legs heal and give me the support I need at work and outside of it.
Right. I know you're on your feet most of the time at work. So yeah, the miracle of not being in pain. Sometimes we don't appreciate it when we're not in pain. Other folks who'd love to share today? Laura Strauss.
Just the fact that I woke up this morning. Longevity does not run in my family. I have surpassed by 5 years the person who passed away at 83. I'm 88. I'm in decent health. I walk. I talk to people. It's just every morning I thank God for giving me the miracle of letting me be here. And to put a little tag on what, oh God, there goes the memory, what was just said with the technology today. Every Sunday, I do the New York Times crossword puzzle with my niece in Oregon. And I also do a jigsaw puzzle online with my nephew in Massachusetts, my grandson in Kentucky, and me in New York, and we do it together. The miracle of the electronic age.
Wow, I didn't even know that online jigsaw puzzles were a thing. That's amazing.
Yes.
That is terrific. Okay, I think we have room for, who doesn't have room for one more miracle in life? So I think we have room for one more miracle to bring into our space today. Sorry, I saw a hand, and then Deb Cantor.
I'm thankful for my central community.
We're thankful that you're here. So for all of these miracles that are enriching our lives and helping us know that we are not alone, that help us find joy and love and help sustain us and keep us resilient during this time, we once again return to these words, how great are your works, Adonai, because we are well aware that that none of this comes just because of us, right? Even people who invent these things do so because they were given the particular gifts and talents to be able to, and the serendipity of being in the right place at the right time. And so for all of those miracles, we return to giving thanks.
יצא לתשועה, כל הנשמה תהללה, כל הנשמה
We now call ourselves and one another to prayer with the words of the Baruch Hu. Well, I don't know about any of you, but as soon as Halloween was over, my kids decided to skip right over the whole idea of Thanksgiving, and we're embracing Hanukkah at this point. And I think part of that is because we're not planning the big family gathering that we might usually do for Thanksgiving. And part of it is we just need a little bit of light right now in this world. And so as we think about that, the coming, we're about to enter the month where Hanukkah is here. And we want to think about not only what is bringing us light, and we just heard about so many things that are bringing us all light, but also what is the light that we bring into the world? What was the particular gift, talent, passion that we were given? And how does that intersect with the need of the world, right? Where does our passion and talent and desire, where does that intersect with what the world needs most? How can we be agents of light in the world? And so we are going to, in the as an expression of our Yotzer Or prayer, which gives thanks to God for creating light in the morning, we're going to have a listening moment and listen to a beautiful song by Amidah Amidah called I Am Light.
I not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. Oh, light. Yeah. Oh, light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
I see so much light in the faces of all of you.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed.
This is a poem, Ve'ahavta, by Marge Piercy. You shall love what is holy with all your courage, with all your passion, with all your strength. Let the words that have come down shine in our words and our actions. We must teach our children to know and understand them. We must speak about what is good and holy within our homes, when we are working, when we are at play, when we lie down, and when we get up. Let the work of our hands speak of goodness. Let it run in our blood and glow from our doors and windows. We should love ourselves, for we are of God. We should love our neighbors as ourselves. We should love the stranger, for we were once strangers in the land of Egypt, and we have been strangers in all the lands of the world since. Let love fill our hearts with its clear, precious water. Heaven and earth observe how we cherish or spoil our world. Heaven and earth watch whether we choose life or choose death. We must choose life so our children's children may live. Be quiet and listen to the still small voice within that speaks in love. Open to that voice, hear it, heed it, and work for life. Let us remember and strive to be good. Let us remember to find what is holy within and without.
شی به خوگه هولیم بشیم شفتهایم یخر کلم هورو بهیم نیخو و همرو آدونایی مخ لهولم واحد آدونایی مخ لهولم واحد یلای ישראל ופתחי נאומך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We now turn to the central prayers of our service, the Amidah. Amidah means standing. And so traditionally we ask you to rise in body or spirit so that we can be more aware of standing before God. I'm going to invite you to feel this prayer embodied in some way. If you're seated, maybe that means putting your feet on the ground. If you have a stone nearby that helps you feel a little bit more grounded, you can put that in your palm. If you'd like to stand, you can. And if you're self-conscious, if you're on the Zoom about your position or anything else, feel free to turn the camera off. This is it's not for anyone except for you. So we join together asking God to open our lips so that we can find the words of prayer that we need to pray today.
Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, Umevi Geulah Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim, Atah Rav leHoshia, Mashif HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechayei Meitim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh chorim, U'matir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, mi chamocha bal gevurot u'mido melach, melech meimit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lachayot meitim. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hameitim. שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרב זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, Adonai Adonenu, Mahadir Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo, Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu vehu Yashmienu, Rachamav le'nei kol chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Zion, Lidor vador, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
And now, having recited the words that our ancestors gave us for prayer, we take a moment of quiet to discover what prayers of our own might have been shaken loose during that time. What do you most need to offer up at this moment? We'll take a moment quietly.
sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed berachamim, chen v'chesed berachamim, verachamim, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha.
We turn now to study some words of Torah together. And to begin, we join together in the blessing for study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So this week, it's an action-packed, as Genesis often is, we're in an action-packed Parsha this week. Lots happens. This is, of course, the Parsha which is given the name Chaye Sarah, the life of Sarah, which begins with Sarah's death. And we see the unfolding of the events in this first family of ours. And today we're going to be focusing on Chaye Isaac, the life of Isaac. So for those of you who are live streaming, you can find this text study sheet on our live stream page under the Mishkan link. For those of you on Facebook, it should be pinned. And for folks who are in the room with me right now, hopefully you have found it as well, but I will also share on the screen. So if we think back, right, what's maybe the first thing we think of when we think of Isaac? The Akedah, the binding of Isaac, that crisis moment in the life of Abraham and Isaac. And so that the aftermath of that trauma is going to be what we're thinking about today, right? Because we know that you don't experience a moment like that and go through your life unchanged or unscathed. And that somehow you need to be able to learn to move forward, to heal, to reconcile that moment of trauma into your life. Otherwise, it can be hard to move on. So the ultimate question we're going to be grappling with today is, how does Isaac do it? What does Isaac do? How does he respond to this moment of trauma? So I'm going to share our text study here. First, let me find it. That would be good. So let's see. Here we go. Okay. So flashback to the Akedah. What happens immediately after the angel stops Abraham's hand, and God tells him, because you've been so faithful, you're going to be blessed. So we read in Genesis 22, Abraham then returned to his servants, or El Ne'arav, so to the lads, to the boys. And there's midrash about who these boys are. Is it Isaac and Ishmael? Who are these boys? And they departed together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. So that's the last we hear. We don't really hear from Isaac for about 65 more verses. Isaac disappears from the narrative. And in fact, even when we do hear of him, we don't hear very much of his voice. We have traditions here, Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, that explain the trauma that Isaac has been through. Rabbi Yehuda said, when the blade touched his neck, the soul of Isaac fled and departed. But when he heard his voice between the two cherubim saying to Abraham, do not lay your hand upon the lad, his soul returned to his body, set him free, and Isaac stood on his feet. And Isaac knew that in this manner the dead in the future would be quickened. He opened his mouth and said, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim, that line from the Amidah Prayer, thank you to God who revives the dead. So this text imagines that this was not only a near-death experience for Isaac, but that actually his soul, it was so terrifying that his soul departed and had to be called back. And we have, we have some imaginings from the rabbis who wonder what happened to Isaac. We know Abraham went to Beersheba after this happens. What happened to Isaac? So in Bereshit Rabbah, we read, and Abraham returned to his young men. And where was Isaac? So, we're looking back at that verse we just read. Rabbi Berechiah said, in the name of rabbis from there, he sent him to Shem to study Torah. So this imagines that in this interaction between Abraham and Isaac, maybe Abraham's at a loss for words, doesn't know what to do. So he sends Isaac to boarding school in Shem and says, study some Torah. Maybe that will help. Okay. Also on that verse, Abraham returned to his lads. Where did Isaac go? According to the Midrash Haggadol, he was kept in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, for the next 3 years until he married Rivka. A different interpretation, he proceeded to study Torah during those 3 years in the Academy of Ever. So we have these imaginings that either Isaac may have gone to Gan Eden for 3 years, or that he went to go study. So I wonder, are there any initial reactions to either of these ideas? Anything that's coming up for folks?
It seems like the rabbis don't want to deal with the PTSD of Isaac.
Say more.
Well, those are pretty, this major event happened. Like a father was willing to slay his child, and the child was the recipient of that experience, and they don't know how to explain it. Like they so the whole thrust is, well, this means you're supposed to be, a very observant Jew, and look at how great Abraham was. But we rarely hear about Isaac, and he could not have been a big fan of anybody at that point. And what to me was interesting is I really didn't realize about the near-death experience part, like his soul leaving him. But I would imagine that's how they're explaining the PTSD, because I'm sure my soul would leave me if I saw my father trying to kill me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we never hear Isaac and Abraham speak again after that moment, right?
Well,
there's never another moment of conversation between the two of them in the Torah, and one can imagine why. Right?
Yeah, but did he go to Sarah?
Right. So, what are some of our midrashim? Right, that we're going to be playing around with the rabbinic imaginings of what might have happened. And so I invite you to also think, what do you think might have happened? But Paula, I saw your hand. You're muted, so we want to hear your voice.
Found it interesting that all of these midrashim are giving a distance between Abraham and Isaac. Talk about an awkward moment, like what happens next. And I think it's really interesting. And if you think of the three founding fathers of Judaism, Isaac is always kind of like the vice president, or the person who kind of disappears. He doesn't have as much of a story or as strong a story. Now, Abraham is the founding father. He's like our George Washington. He's the beginning point. And a little bit it feels like they're protecting him, so they're just taking away that the human father reaction to something that was so incredibly traumatic, and just skipping over that, so you remember his patriarchal role, and the human fatherly role is just not there.
Thank you. We're gonna Gail Sinai, and then Abby.
Thank you so much. I wanted to step up and just support Monica, because as I read this story, there's a lot of language that we have, very modern language, not the least of which is PTSD. For example, the modern language that I would use for being close to death is what I would call dissociation, which is what happens in a trauma, particularly in child abuse or other situations that you don't need to know about. Like, it's all right here. And what I would be talking about, because I think our people are brilliant at that, is the hair, which seems highly absent, the sort of paternal acknowledgement of what he did, how he let things get away from himself, and the consequence to his son. And I think that's really hard for all of us to sit with, because it just was not so great for Isaac. Isaac was just non-present, and you can see that just in the modern world as well. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to add, for what it's worth, is kind of query whether we aren't all, in a funny way, in that spot right with sex. In terms of what you're saying about a busy, poor portion, and just the feeling of endless busy for us, loaded with stuff now. That's a lot, and I'm Sorry to dump that back in.
No, I certainly, my goal in bringing these texts today, and I'm going to take 2 more comments on this piece, and then we'll move forward actually into this week's Torah portion, is to help us think about what is our reaction to the collective ongoing trauma that we are experiencing in the world, and what are the ways that our tradition imagines that Isaac may have coped with that trauma and integrated it, and what can that teach us for how we might be able to do the same for ourselves and to allow ourselves to be more resilient. So I have Abby, and then Phyllis Freeman gets the last comment on this section. So Abby.
Hi, everyone. So I kind of see this passage in a positive light, like as a rite of initiation. Like in ancient traditions, if we look at Native American or African, there's always this passage through death and then rebirth, and then the boy becomes a man. So I kind of see this as like this moment where Isaac dies and is reborn, and that's when he actually becomes a man. And the separation is actually healthy between him and his father. Like he can't be in the shadow of his father. He has to become his own patriarch, right? So it's like there needed to be this cut, right, between the two, which maybe had to be done in this, powerful way because they were so merged, So I've always seen it like that, personally.
Thank you. And Phyllis?
Well, I think the rabbis don't know what to say because they haven't heard my theory of the Akedah. And I think that story was stuck in there because there were other religions around that included child sacrifice. And this story says, come to us, we don't do that. So
it's a good recruiting tool, right?
Right. To show the people that this is who we are, that our God says don't do it. So where was Isaac? Home with his mother, maybe? I don't know.
Great. So I would love if someone else could, I'm going to put the words up on the screen so folks who are following along can share, but I would love if maybe, Deb Cantor, do you have the text? Or can you unmute yourself?
I don't have it in front of me.
You don't have it. Okay. Raise your hand if you have it. Phyllis, will you read Genesis 24?
I'm sliding down.
There you go.
Okay. No, I had the other. And Isaac went out walking in the field toward evening, and looking up, he saw camels approaching. Raising her eyes, Rebekah saw Isaac. She alighted from the camel and said to the servant, "Who is that man walking in the field toward us?" And the servant said, "That is my master." And so she took her veil and covered herself. The servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Isaac then brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah, and he took Rebekah as his wife. Isaac loved her and thus found comfort after his mother's death.
Great. So there's this big gap, right, between the Akedah and Isaac has this marriage arranged for him, and he happens upon this woman who falls off her camel because and they fall in love, and he finds love again, and that love actually helps him cope with his mother's death, right? So there's a lot of healing that is able to take place, and so a question that is posed by my friend Jen Gubitz in a text that is on your text sheet. Let me share this. So where does he go? He was coming from Be'er Lahai Ro'i, which is Hebrew for the well of the living one who sees me. that he settled after the Akedah. It was the place, too, where Hagar had gone after she and Ishmael were saved by an angel from a near-fatal thirst in the wilderness. Be'er L'chai Ro'i twice punctuates the peaks and valleys of Isaac's journey. In tracing Isaac's life through Genesis from the Akedah to the moment when Rebekah alights from her camel, literally falling in love with him, until his dying breath at the end of Genesis 35, we wonder, how does Isaac endure a life that vacillates between joy and deep pain, comfort and trauma, loss and love? We might ask if and how he's able to maintain equanimity during his soul-stirring journey. What can we moderns learn from his life as we face the highs and lows of being human? She then invites us to look at some texts that look at this this phrase. Here's the phrase. It says, Isaac went out walking in the field toward evening. And so the rabbis look at what does that mean, that walk, right? So Bachya ibn Pakuda imagines, he says, according to both Ibn Ezra and David Kimchi, these words mean to stroll among the shrubs. Isaac had gone for a stroll to enjoy nature. A midrashic interpretation, based on Bereshit Rabbah, this word, to walk, means to pray, as it does in all instances where it occurs. Our sages in Brachot 26 have derived their view that Isaac inaugurated the daily Mincha prayer from this verse. So he's doing something like walking, enjoying nature, maybe meditating. Rashi says he's meditating. He's coming back from meditating when he has this encounter. Sforno says he had detoured from his regular path to the field in order to pour out his heart to God in prayer. He did not want to be interrupted in his devotion by passing travelers whom he would have to greet. This was in spite of the fact that he had already prayed in Be'er L'chai Ro'i. And finally, we have Chizkuni. It connects these bushes, sorry. Rabbi Jennifer Gubitz, in her modern midrash, imagines this conversation between Isaac and Hagar, because eventually Isaac and Ishmael are at Be'er L'chai Ro'i, which we know Hagar went to. Hagar asks, "Where have you been? How did you do it? After all those things you faced in your life, how did your soul become whole again?" "I studied, I prayed," Isaac answers. "I spent time outside. I spent time alone. I wondered and I wandered and I searched." And that's how Rabbi Gubitz sort of brings together all of these rabbinic imaginings about what Isaac's spiritual practice was that allowed him to sustain himself. So I'm curious for any reactions, any questions, anything that hits home for you, Susan?
I started thinking about Ishmael and Hagar because Ishmael was also treated so poorly by Abraham and abandoned and left to die. And he also was brought back to life because he was almost dead of thirst. And it seems, if I'm remembering correctly, that Yitzhak and Ishmael meet again at least when they're burying Abraham. And there's something about a reconciliation of two people whose lives set out differently, two people who had a lot in common, but also their lives diverged the way they did. And yet there's this coming together. And I mean, I can't even imagine what the story is of what they talked about when they buried Abraham. But this idea of meditation and of thinking, it has me see Isaac in a kind of a different light, because there's so little about him, and yet he must have been someone of very deep thought.
Mm. I like the bringing in of, so if we're thinking about what are the ingredients for healing, right? We have the prayer and the meditation maybe, but we also have the healing of relationships, right? This reconciliation and connection and relationship with his long lost brother, which is also part of that healing. So I see Arden has a hand up, and then Mitchell.
Well, this makes me think of how I, like, one of the ways that I cope with the year of trauma of like basically like having something to do on a daily basis, like prayer, kind of helps stabilize. Like there's something that will more or less stay consistent while everything else gets worse or what goes in weird directions, basically.
Thank you. Mitchell?
So a number of those texts made me think of what I think becomes Rabbi Nachman's practice of hitbodedut, of walking outside, literally in the woods, and talking to God. And so, yes, there's prayer and meditation. And even as I say this, it's incredibly challenging to me on a personal level. But it's the fact that God, Yud He Vav He, the eternal, whatever we want to call it, is, I was going to say, at the center of the process. Maybe if it's not at the center, it's certainly a significant part of the process. And in a way, isn't that what our tradition offers? And you kind of can't get away from it. As modern or quote unquote liberal as one might feel or want to appear, the texts and the traditions in various ways keep bringing us back to this sort of immutable idea.
Right. And I imagine Isaac had a few things to say to God after that experience, right? I mean, he probably had a few things he needed to say. But I love this connection of, it's not just a walk in nature, but it is a real going out where no one else can see you and pouring out of your heart the things that you need to say. Those of us who are studying together with Lisa Goldstein right now just spent our last class thinking about petitionary prayers, right? Like, how do we get used to asking for things? How do we get used to knowing what we need to pray for? And I think that's also an important part of healing, right? What's lacking? What do I need? Just the recognition of what we need can sometimes be the first step into healing. Monica.
I think that's a part of what we never talk about is how did Isaac resolve his faith in God when he knew God was the one that got his father to raise a knife to him and potentially kill him? I mean, that must have been just as traumatic as his father, because his father had taught him from the time he was a baby that in this God that he believed in so strongly that made him move from his land and do all these things. And I think when you do go through those kinds of traumatic things, which I've unfortunately experienced, you do turn inward almost more than anything else, because it's the only way you can process that kind of stuff. If you're a healthy person, you're eager to process that kind of stuff in your life, because otherwise you have no peace. And for him to be able to meditate or even go to some religious school and still have faith, I think shows Isaac's faith in a way that we rarely give him credit for.
Right. And the moving forward itself is an act of faith in some way, right? Eric.
Man, that Isaac had a crossroads in his life, right? And it's very personal. God, you really vaccinated me with a phonograph needle about this. Well, my mother used to be very sheltered of me. I have on my spectrum and I have my challenges and everything. My mother and father kind of sheltered me from the vicissitudes of life. And then when my mother and father died, I didn't have no protection. So I had to reach out to my cousins to be my caregivers, because I couldn't do it alone. I'm a solo ager. You have to make special plans. Am I on topic, by the way? Am I on topic?
Well, yeah, you're talking about what do we need to support us, right? We've been thinking about Isaac and his spiritual practice, but there's also this question of who do we need, right? And so Rabbi Gubitz is imagining that Isaac goes back and talks to Hagar, who's also someone who's had this trauma. Maybe there's something about we need to find our people, right? We need to find our people who are going to help support us also. So I want to see if we can bring in yes, I see you, Ruth.
Yes. Okay. And I just want to say, going back to the texts where it spoke of Isaac's soul leaving his body, where did his soul go during that period? And what did Isaac, that could have very much informed his ability to believe, because if he found belief when he left his body and then was able to bring it back, then that could have brought him the strength to continue believing even through this trauma.
Right. We know that those experiences can be turning points for people, for good or bad, depending on how they're able to support and sustain themselves. I want to make sure that I get onto the second page. Ed Sasla, I see your hand.
I'm still stuck on some things that Rabbi Berman said last night about the same portion, and about Rebecca being an unusual female character in Torah to actually take control of it, and make a decision. But if you connect it to what we've just read, Isaac has always been somebody's pawn, throughout the Akedah. Even the selection of Rebecca is by a servant, that I think Abraham has sent to select a wife for him. And so now we've read, but in the meantime, Isaac's gone out into the garden and thought and prayed and so on and so forth. And it's possible that his conclusion is it's time to stop being somebody else's creature and to become my own. So you get this romantic story of whether selected for him or not, they come together by choice.
Right, and he's able to love, right? That's not nothing. After surviving this trauma, he's able to love, to offer love, to build a loving relationship. And so I guess as we conclude this moment, I'll raise up two things. Number one, our rabbis don't imagine that Isaac brushed himself off and got right back to work, right, after this experience happened, and just focused on being super productive and, staying in it. They're imagining, a 3-year spiritual retreat in the Garden of Eden, or a meditation practice, or a practice of getting out in nature to bring some of that vitality. And so I would encourage all of us, and I am very much included, because I often use being busy to distract myself from the pain or trauma that is going on in the world, right? The importance of stopping. If we're going to heal, there's an importance of stopping and of caring for ourselves, and for finding that connection with God, with nature, with other people, whatever it is, that connection that feels sustaining for us. And I would also invite you to think about, during this moment of extended trauma, what is it that's life-giving for you? What is it? When do you feel the most alive? what activity or practice leaves you feeling more replenished instead of more depleted? Who are the relationships that you could strengthen? Or maybe you've been estranged for a long time, but that connection would be life-giving to you. And just invite you to think about, how might you devote a little bit of time, right? The rabbis tell us that Isaac invented the afternoon prayer, mincha, that Isaac invented that. That was his practice. Yours could be, a jigsaw puzzle. It doesn't have to be the afternoon prayer practice, but what is it that is going to allow you to sustain yourself during this time? And find a buddy and maybe share that with them too. So my prayer for all of us is that as we move forward in this time and through this time, mostly we know that we're not alone, that we are never alone, that we have plenty of company on this path. So thank you. So with all of that in mind, we now turn to our thoughts to those who are in need of healing, whether they are us or a dear loved one, someone who is in need of a nudge toward wholeness and peace. And so I'll invite, let's see, Jenna, I think I forgot to put the words of the healing prayer on the sheet. Are they on a slide?
They're on a slide.
Because you're magical. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. Restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds. Refresh our tired spirits. Rejuvenate our light. And we join together in the words of V'hashevota within our Aleinu prayer. V'hashevota el levavecha ki Adonai hu ha-Elohim v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad.
And now we turn our thoughts to our loved ones who are no longer with us, but who remain an important part of our story. In recent days, we in the Central Synagogue community have marked the loss of Frida Ragir Kosman, the mother of Bonnie Middleman, grandmother of Joanne Harpel, and great-grandmother of Lexa and Xander. Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth and Michael Bacon. Minette Hirsch, mother of Judy Baum. Diane Kovacs, mother of David and Lawrence and sister of Gail Schneider. And Gregorio Podoroski, the father of Marcelo. I'll now invite anyone who is here who is in a period of Shiva to share the name of the loved one you're remembering now. And if you're in the first 30 days following a loss, I invite you to bring the name of your loved one into the space. If you're in the first year of mourning, I invite you to remember your loved one now.
Beverly Johnson.
And if you're marking a yahrzeit, I invite you to bring the memory of that loved one into our space now.
Kenny Rosenberg.
Schultz.
For those whose names have been shared either out loud or in writing, or for those that we are just holding dear in our thoughts, we join as one community with the words of Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
And now would be the time, if we were all together, when we would be shuffling our papers and getting our books together and organizing our stuff and getting ready to go grab a glass of juice or wine, maybe handed out by one of these beautiful people on the screen. And in that spirit, we join together in the celebration of Shabbat with Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את ha-Shabbat, לעשות את ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את ha-Shabbat, לעשות את ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל lift up our cups. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
All right, who has a bread product nearby?
Not
Laura
I.
Bernstein is the winner. All I have is this coaster, which is not very helpful. Okay.
Let's do it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, we are going to say goodbye to our live stream friends now. It has been such a joy to open our tent to you and to have you in our Mishkan this morning. And for folks who are in the Zoom, you can feel free to linger a moment and have some after service chit chat with us. So thank you, live streamers. It's been wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
So you may have noticed that our melodies sometimes change with the seasons. And Mi Chamocha, our prayer for redemption, is the perfect song to take on these new melodies. Tonight, we read from Parshat Noach, Noah and the flood. And I think you know the melody that we use at this season for Mi Chamocha. Sing it with us.
Ancient new song. The Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody.
Get your children out of the muddy, muddy. Children of the Lord. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Torah tehilot Hosef elech, children of the Lord.
You know it. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Children of the Lord.
Oh, malchutcha ra'u v'anecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze'elianu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Children of the Lord. The sun came out and dried up the landy.
The sun came out and dried up the landy.
Everything was fine and dandy, dandy. Children of the Lord. So rise and shine, give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory,
Shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom.
This is a setting of Psalm 59. It says, I will sing of your strength. I will sing of your love. You are my haven, my refuge in times of trouble. You are my strength. I sing praise to you. Va'ani ashiru zecha ve'haranen laboker chastecha ki hayita miskabli umanos leyom sarli va'ani ashiru zecha ve'haranen laboker chastecha ki hayita miskabli umanos leyom sarli Uzi elecha בחסדך, כי היית משגב לי ומנוס ליום צר לי.
הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שובכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש מן המצר קראתי ענני ומרחביה. מן המצר קראתי ענני ומרחביה. עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה. עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה.
answer me. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, 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 min hametzar karatiya. Anani v'merchavya, min hametzar karatiya. Anani v'merchavya, odecha ki ani tani v'tehili lishua. Odecha ki ani tani v'tehili lishua. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, 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 I call out to you from a narrow place. Your answer came to me from a wide open space. My heart cried out for you wherever you are. Your hand reached out to me, min hametzar. Aneni, 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 answer me. 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 Aneni, aneni, aneni. Min hametzar. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים לכבודו, כי גדול
menuchot deshe yarbitzeni, al me menuchot yenaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'magelei tzedek, yancheni v'magelei tzedek, leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeitz al mavet lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni. Taruch lefanai, shulchan neged zorai, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tu v'chesed yirdifuni, kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti bevet Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar, Adonai
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
So
Shalom.
nice to be with everyone this morning. I'm Rabbi Mosal, joined by my friend and colleague, Cantor Julia Kadrain. We're here at Central Synagogue in the center of Manhattan on a beautiful, crisp Shabbat fall morning, and we're so glad to be together. We are also inspired and moved that our service will be co-led this morning by our bat mitzvah, Marisol Katz, and soon you'll meet her, and I know be uplifted. Marisol is in the sanctuary right above us, and I want to say to you, Marisol, and your family, we're so happy, and yeah, there they are. Look at them. They're so great with her friends and family and her brother, and we're so happy for you, and we're so happy for this community that you'll be leading us this morning with our service. If you'd like to follow along in a prayer book, you can find one at our centralsynagogue.org live streaming page or on our worship tab on our website. You can stand with us when we say please rise and be seated, or you can, as we often say, be rising with us in spirit. However you want to pray and celebrate Shabbat with us, we encourage you to do so. You might even want to text a friend and say, come to services with me. Shabbat Shalom. We'd love that. All right, Cantor, let's continue with some song as we enter these beautiful rituals of Shabbat morning.
I love that idea. So if you are following along in the prayer book, we're on page 100. I want to invite us all to sing this psalm together. If you don't know any Hebrew at all, that's okay. You're in good company. We're going to have one familiar word to come back to, which is very simply hallelujah. And we'll practice that part now, so especially when we get there, you can sing out with full hearts and voices. This psalm teaches us kol hanshama tehalelia. Let everything that breathes praise God. So an invitation to all of us. Hallelujah. בטוף ומבוא, הללו, במינים ועוגב. הללויה, 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 Shema Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Having warmed up our voices and our spirits, we turn to the Baruch Hu, page 108, and we rise in body or in spirit. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. We invite you to find your seats again if you stood. We continue with the Shema, this prayer that reminds us that God is one, and we are taught that we are in God's image, which means that we are one. So from downstairs underneath the sanctuary to up in the sanctuary to all around the city and the country and the world, we are echad. We are one community. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We join together for our song of freedom and redemption, page 122. rise in body or in spirit and we chant this line together that asks God to open up our mouths to prayer. And then after that, we'll join together in, independently in a few moments of quiet reflection. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, u'ufi yagidei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Good. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, oh God, my rock and my redeemer. We're now entering Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah. And I'm going to invite Marisol and her brother Sasha and her parents up to the podium. Marisol will ask you to introduce this section of our service.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, Uneramimav Shemo Yachdav.
Marisol, as I said earlier, we're so happy for you, and the synagogue family is ecstatic, but your own nuclear family is even more so, So we want to give a chance for your mom and your dad to share some words and a special gift for you on this day you become bat mitzvah. So we're going to hear from your dad and your mom now.
So Marisol.
No, you have to stand there.
Where do I have to stand? Here?
It's good.
Marisol, you've always been a lady. Even as a little girl, you walk so proud, confident and curious, also so sweet. I've watched you growing up and seen you become an amazing young lady that you are today. You have always have so many wonderful qualities. You are the sweetest, even being called sweetheart is a nickname. You're always kind. You don't judge a book by its cover, and you'll talk to anyone. You welcome people with open arms. Your curiosity is bountiful. Whether it's cooking a new dish, crafting a new item for Splash, or finding a new item to buy, you always get involved. You dig deep, whether you're doing or you're finding, you always make it great. Your ability to seek out the best and always make it work is something that few have. Don't ever let adversity stop you. You just work harder. I've seen you do this with school, hobbies, and more. Don't ever stop being curious and opening doors. Don't ever stop being kind and sweet. It's just who you are. And don't ever stop being confident, because you are beautiful, smart, charming, kind, and have everything that you need to succeed in life.
Amen. You can give your dad a little squeeze, Marisol, if you want to give him a hug. I know your mom is going to share some words. Why don't you raise the microphone just a little bit closer to you, Rachel? We can put it back later for Marisol, yeah.
Okay, I'll say a few words. Dearest Marisol, it's hard to believe that we are here standing with you on the bima watching you become a bat mitzvah. As a little curly-haired girl with the bright green eyes and the freckly face, you would smile and giggle your way through your days. You were creative, bright, sensitive, playful, and adorable. I remember thinking, how is this possible that this perfect miracle belongs to us? You would spend endless hours playing with your Barbies, stomping around the apartment in high heels, wearing makeup and jewelry, imagining a fantasy world that belonged to you and your dolls, your daughters. Early on, we could see you carried a spark within a special energy that was unique to you. You even played games in your own special way. Board game rules were tossed out, and Marisol instead created her own. I am beyond proud to say you still live this way, and it's one of your greatest strengths. When Sasha was born, you finally became a real mommy to your own precious doll. He became your sidekick and simply idolized you. How could he not adore his amazing big sister who would sing and dress him up? The love that you poured on him was gold, and it continues to enrich him to this very day. As the years passed, you grew to become a devoted and hardworking student and an amazing and thoughtful friend. When faced with challenges, you never gave up. You pushed yourself to determine how best to learn and achieve your goals in your own style and on your own terms. While it didn't always come easy, your sense of self and commitment to everything you touch has led you down this beautiful path. You were never one to follow the crowd, a trait that we admire so much. It's a quality that will serve you throughout your years. You forge your own path and you trust your gut. This can't be taught, and it's the magic that is you. You are a natural creative and artistic soul, and you see beauty in everything. Your tie-dye work and love for fashion and design is a gift that you will nurture. And you are the most devoted and loving friend, always giving and with a kind word. Marisol, while Grandma is not here with us in person, she is most definitely here, beaming with pride that her beautiful Marisolini is a bat mitzvah, and you're even wearing the beautiful dress that she picked out just for you. Marisol, keep being the sweet, smiling, kind ray of light that brings joy to so many. We are beyond proud of you, and we love you so, so much. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
And you can take your mask off, Sasha. We'd love to see your beautiful face up there. I know you want to wish your sister congratulations.
Marisol, you have been a great sister to me since I was born. I love watching your TikToks. They're great, and you are amazing and creative. I love you so much. And thank you for always being with me.
Sasha, that's so great. All the words from your family are so beautiful. Rachel, I saw some beautiful, I don't want to give it away, a ritual object you wanted to share with Marisol. Do you want to do that now? Or do you want to do that later in terms of giving it to her?
May I get them?
Oh, yes, please.
These are beautiful Shabbat candlesticks. Josh? Josh, do you have memories of these Shabbats in Atlantic Beach?
I do.
With who? With Grandma and Poppy? And so we want to give these to you because they're beautiful and you could keep these, and in your home, in your Jewish home, when you become a mommy, you could light them and enjoy them with your own family. We love you.
Amen. All right, you can give your family a hug there. Thank you for those beautiful words as we enter now the opportunity for you to chant from the Torah. You can put the microphone close to you. That looks really good. And I want you, Marisol, to tell everyone who's there with us in the congregation, as well as everyone who's watching, introduce the section of Torah you're reading from right now.
Okay. My Torah portion is taken from the Parshat Hayei Sarah from the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verses 43 to 53. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my papi, Alan Bernstein. And then for my second Aliyah, I call upon my mom, my dad, Rachel, and Josh.
All right, we'll invite your papi to come up. He's going to chant the blessing before your first Aliyah. And Alan, that blessing, I know you know it, Alan, but if you want to see the words, it's just to the right of Marisol. Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Borcha Bono Mikol Amim Benosan Ono Es Toraso Baruch Ato Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen. And now, Marisol, you can chant your first Aliyah.
Okay, I'm just going to... Amen. Vavo Hayom El Ha'ayin Vayomar Adonai Elohei Adoni Avraham Im Yashkana Matzliya Darki Asher Anohi Holeth Aleha Hine Anohi Nitza Alein Hamayin Vahaya Ha'ama Hayotse Lishov Va'amra Eleha Hashkina Mayat Maim Mikodei Va'amra Elai Hamata Shetei Vigam Migmaleha Eshav Hiv Ha'iyav Asher Hokliya Adonai Levin Adoni.
So nice. We're going to ask your papi to do the blessing after.
Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Nosan Lano Torah Semes V'chayilotel B'sochenu Baruch Ato Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen. Such a beautiful first Aliyah. Marisol, as you said, your parents have the second Aliyah, so we'll invite them up now for you to chant that second Aliyah, but they're going to do the blessing beforehand. And so invite your parents to come up. I see them joining us to do the blessing before. Yep, it's right. So Josh and Rachel, you do the Baruch Hu blessing now. It's just, it's right there, yeah?
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Rachel, can you just move the microphone a little, both microphones right in the middle so we can hear Marisol? Yeah. Marisol. I don't need to ask Rachel. I'll just ask Marisol to do it. Thank you. That's right. So you can begin chanting your second Aliyah.
Amen. Ani taram ahala Medaber Elibi, Vahine Rivka, Yotzit Vahada, Al Shifma, Vaterid Haina, Vatisha, Vayomar Eleha Hashkinina. Vatimaher, Vatored Kada Meoleha, Vatomer, Shete, Vigam Gimaleha, Eshke, Vaeshta, Vigam Hagimali, Hashkata, Vaesh Ota, Vaomar, Vamiat, Vatomer, Betuel, Benahor, Asher, Yaldalu, Mioka, Vahisim, Hanetzam, Alepa, Vahimdim, Ayadeha, Bar Ekod, Vaeshtahave, Ladonai, Vavarain, Ed Adonai, Elohe, Adoni, Abraham, Asher Himhani Badereth Gamet, Lakaha Bahui Adoni, leave now.
So nice. Your parents are going to do the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So Marisol, you are doing such a beautiful job. I'm just applauding you down here.
We all are.
We
so
all
great.
are. We're so proud of you. I know that you're ready to do the Torah blessing, but before you do that, I want to take a moment just to acknowledge and celebrate the fact that this will be the first time in your life that you get called up to the Torah by your Hebrew name. It is an enormous honor. And Marisol, it is with such a full heart that I offer this honor to you, because it has been such a joy to watch you navigate the process of becoming bat mitzvah and rise to the challenge. You have not only done an amazing job with your preparation and your learning, but perhaps even more importantly, you have brought such a beautiful spirit of positivity and warmth and love, and I know that your family benefits from that, and your friends and your loved ones. So it is a very wide community of people here who are just thrilled to watch you accept this honor for the first time ever. Ta'amod, ta'amod, ha'bat mitzvah, Malka bat Rachel veYehoshua, le'aliyah leTorah. And now you can chant that pre-Torah blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amin ve'ata lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Im yashem osim hesed ve'emet and Adonai hagiduli ve'im lo hagiduli ve'fne al yamin al semo va'yan lavan uvtu el va'amaru may Adonai yatsa hadover lo nuha Diber eleha ra'otov. Hine rivka livhaneha ka vaiti uti isha leven adoneha kasher diber Adonai. Vayahi kasher shama eved Avraham et Divraham vayatzaho arza ladonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam v'nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Wow, that is just spectacular to have you fill up our sanctuary with such beautiful chanting of this very special Torah portion. I know you spent a lot of time thinking about the meaning of the stories in the Torah portion, and we're going to have a chance now to have you deliver your Devar Torah. I'll just ask that we'll invite your parents to sit in the congregation so they can enjoy you as teacher from the Bima, and I'll just ask you to roll the Torah scroll into the middle of the podium, and then take your Devar Torah talk and put it I would move to the right side so that you're right in front of the microphone there. You can kind of straighten out the microphone so we can hear you directly. That's good right there. You can just pick that up, no problem. That's all right. So yeah, we just want you in front of the mic so we can hear you nice and loud as you share your Devar Torah with us on this special morning. You can start.
Can I go? Okay. In the Parshat, what?
Yes, you can start.
In the Parshat, Hayei Sarah, Abraham is mourning the loss of his beloved wife Sarah after she dies at the age of 127. Abraham finds the perfect burial spot for Sarah in the cave of Machpelah in the land of Canaan. Soon after, Abraham decides it is time to find a wife for his son Isaac. Abraham commands his oldest and most trusted servant Eliezer to leave Canaan and return to his homeland of Nahor to find a wife. It is very important to Abraham that a wife for Isaac comes from the land of his forefathers. Eliezer collects some of Abraham's finest items and 10 camels and begins his journey to the land of Nahor. When Eliezer arrives, he brings the 10 camels over to the well where the women come to collect water in the evenings. The servant asks himself for a sign to let him know who is the perfect wife for Isaac. He decides that the first woman to offer him water and also offer his 10 camels water will be his chosen wife. Only moments later, Rebecca appears at the well. Not only does she offer Eliezer water, but she offers water to his 10 camels and the men riding them. It takes a lot of strength and patience to fill enough water for a man and 10 camels, but Rebecca does this because she is a generous and kind person. She shows deep kindness to a man who traveled so far. Eliezer recognizes that this is the kind of value that Abraham would want in his family. Together they visit Rebecca's family to ask for permission to bring her to Isaac. Eliezer shares the amazing story with Rebecca's family, and it is decided that, indeed, she is the perfect wife for Isaac. When Eliezer and Rebecca return to the land of Canaan, they find Isaac praying in the fields. Rebecca immediately begins to comfort him as he mourns his mother. I think it is a very important lesson that Eliezer does not focus on finding the most beautiful woman or the woman wearing the fanciest dress to become Isaac's wife. Instead, he focuses on the people who have a big heart. Rebecca shows this by going above and beyond what is expected of her. She's generous, thoughtful, and a hard-working person. These are some of the important qualities I value in my own life with my friends and family. During the last many months of this pandemic, our world has been turned upside down. There are many people out there who are hurting, ill, or have lost their jobs. I can't imagine what that may be like. For these people, the smallest act of kindness may be just what they need to get through this dark patch. As a community, we should all come together to do the right thing for each other. Saying thank you to our essential workers is a meaningful and receiving gift. Back in the spring, my brother and I would leave goodies for the Postal Service workers outside of our home. These men and women were working hard and putting their lives in danger to deliver essential and non-essential goods to our families. That small act of kindness made the workers smile and hopefully brighten their days. The funny thing is, it actually was the highlight of my day. It made me feel good to know that I had an impact on someone else's day, a complete stranger. I now try to smile at the grocery store workers and elderly people to make a small connection. I feel very connected to the Parshat Hayei Sarah because I am reminded of my beautiful and courageous grandma who fought a brave battle with Parkinson's disease. My grandma, like Rebecca, was amazingly kind and sweet. She was a hardworking teacher and did everything for her family. She was generous with her time and always was listening to me and helping me with my homework. She loved to buy me nice things as well. Like Abraham, my poppy and my family mourned my grandmother after she passed away, and we miss her so much every day, especially today. By living with true kindness, smiling at strangers, and doing acts of charity, we are changing the world around us, one smile at a time. As become a bat mitzvah, I realize that this is my responsibility to give back and find my place in the Jewish community. I look forward to continuing my work of charity raising money for Parkinson's disease research to find a cure through my creative work with tie-dye and beads. My hope is to help people less fortunate than I am who feel isolated and lonely during COVID. A smile and a small act of kindness can truly go such a long way. I would like to thank Central Synagogue for giving me a place to learn about my Jewish roots and making important connections with my friends since I was in the parenting center. Thank you to Rabbi Mo and Cantor Kadrine for supporting me on my bat mitzvah journey and making me feel like I'll do a great job. Thanks to my tutor Emily, who I would definitely not be able to do this without. Thank you to my family, Aunt Lauren, Uncle Carrie, Aunt Heather, Uncle Todd, and my cousins Spencer, Logan, Sammy, and Joseph. I love you all. And thank you to Poppy for being the best grandfather in the whole world. I love you so much. And most of all, thank you to my mommy and my daddy and my brother and best friend Sasha. You guys are all my world.
Well, we are just taking this all in, Marisol, because it's such powerful words that you share with us, and your presence is so powerful. And I was talking with your parents right before we began the service, and we were talking about how meaningful it is for me and for all of us who are in the synagogue to have you lead us from the sanctuary. I want you to just invite your parents, by the way, and your brother back up to the podium as I ask you. Just take a look around at our sanctuary and this beautiful space that I think was built for you and your classmates to help take your place as a Jewish adult. And boy, Marisol, have you done that today, beginning your journey as a young Jewish woman, helping to remind not just those who are in your family, but all of us, including myself and the cantor, the importance of kindness, the importance of a simple, generous act, the importance of dedicating part of our life to those that are in need. This is something we know that if everyone does a little bit more, the whole world will be lifted. And you taught us that lesson and reminded us of that lesson so beautifully today. So I want to thank you, Marisol, for helping us be stronger, for inspiring us, and for giving us such a reason to smile. We're going to celebrate you becoming bat mitzvah today with a song we always sing in celebration, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov. You can do a swing your partner with your dad and your brother and your mom as we, or dance as if you want, as we sing in celebration of this milestone.
Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov.
Marisol, I think you know that we also have this service streaming on Facebook Live. And so on Facebook, people can write all these comments of celebration. I see people saying, thank you for the joy you bring to us today. Mazel Tov, wonderful words from a young bat mitzvah. Irene says, such wisdom and insight. I agree, beautiful. What a sweet voice, so true. It's all about the heart, young lady. So after you finish your service today, you can take a look at all these comments. But you're blowing up Facebook and you're blowing up our hearts with such joy this very special day. I'm going to invite you to return to your seats in the sanctuary as we head to our concluding prayers. You mentioned, Marisol, that your grandmother is an inspiration to you, and I want to recognize her on this beautiful day and name her Myra Bernstein, and your dad's dad, Michael Katz. As we head into this section of memory, our Kaddish prayer, I want to read this poem by another exceptional woman who inspired many people in her day. She wrote, Yesh Kochavim, there are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we've loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. And the stars that light up the darkest of nights, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This Shabbat morning, we add to your grandmother and grandfather's names the name of dear ones who have died recently in our community. Frida Kosman, mother of Bonnie, grandmother of Joanne, and great-grandmother of Lexa and Xander. Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth and Michael Bacon. Minette Hirsch, mother of Judy. Diane Kovacs, mother of David and Lawrence and sister of Gail. And Gregoria Podorowski, father of Marcelo. And to these names we add those whose yahrzeits occur at this season. We know many of us today are joining to say Kaddish for their dear ones. If you're mourning or remembering a loved one who have died recently or who died at this season, I'll invite you to say their name out loud. To these names, I'll add the name of my father, Irving Salth. I know, Cantor, you had a name you wanted to add as well.
Yes, also Brian McLaughlin.
So I invite you to say out loud or in your hearts these names, and then rise in body or in spirit for these sacred words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yit Gadal v'Yit Shemei Rabbah, B'Yalma Divrach Yutei v'Yamlich Malchutei, V'Chayachon uV'Yom Echon, Uv'Chayed Chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uzman Kari v'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Omei Almaya, Yit Barach v'Yishtabach v'Yit Pa'ar v'Yit Romam v'Yit Naseh v'Yit Hadar v'Yit Taleh v'Yit Talal Shemei Kudsha Brichu Le'olam in Kol Brichata v'Shirata Tushbechata v'Nechamata Damiram Yama v'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'Chaim Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Yimru Amen. Osei Shalom b'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Yimru Amen.
Osei Shalom b'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Yimeru Amen.
So I'll invite you and your parents and Sasha back up to the bima for our closing song. It's a song that's very fitting of your teaching and your inspiring of today. It's a song of peace.
Oseh Shalom b'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom
Mazel tov, Marisol, and to your family and to the entire Central Synagogue family, we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.